Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I think you might want to listen. There's nothing wrong with listening. Somebody comes up and says, hey, I have information on your opponent. Do you call the FBI? I don't think
coming from
I'll tell you what,
you do.
I've seen a lot of things over my life. I don't think in my whole life I've ever called the FBI. Oh, let me call the FBI. Give me a break. Life doesn't work that way.
The FBI director says that's what should happen.
The FBI director is wrong.
Wrong. Now, today, apparently, he said, well, maybe I wouldn't look at the dirt. But the fallout is huge. And the insanity is even bigger, right? The insanity is even bigger. But Joe Scarborough said something interesting today. And because you hear he's a dictator. Bill Maher earlier this week said, I don't think he's ever going to leave the White House if he leaves. I mean, this is the insanity of what's going on with people out there. The whole thing is, let's scare you into this guy is a Let me tell you why he's not a dictator. And for all of you who tweet at me, he's a dictator. You know how I know he's not a dictator? Because of the things that you say about him, and the fact that you're still able to do that shows me he's not a dictator. Because if he was a real dictator, all the things that you say would eventually stop because you no longer would be here. Do you think Saddam Hussein would allow you to do those kind of things? Do you think, right, that Muammar Gaddafi would allow you to do those kind of things? If you really think he's a dictator, if you really believe that, you saying those things would be punishable probably by death. So slow your roll.
This guy is so bad. And other people say, he's so evil. He's so evil. I said, wasn't a truly evil guy? Said to George Stephanopoulos, of course I would report it. I would report it instantly. In fact, do you know what? I've hired 3 lawyers, and they're going to be scanning throughout the entire government. We're going to have the toughest task force on foreign interference ever, while he's actually calling China and calling Russia, say, hey, you got anything? You got anything?
Yeah. It's funny. Dude just says it. That's his problem for a lot of people. He just says it. It's no filter. We're not used to that in the world of politics, especially in a world that is woke and politically correct. In a world, next week, the debate is going to 2 weeks from now, we're going to have a debate. 2 nights, 10 different people will be on stage in Miami, Democratic debate. I can tell you pretty much everything that they're going to say. Right now, it is going to be as sterile and as vanilla as it gets. With Trump, he's just going to say it. He's going to tell you exactly what it is. Here you go. Here you go. Here it is. Here's what I think.
That's the thing about Donald Trump. It's all in plain view. And I know people are saying there's a 3-dimensional chess deal and Donald's just trying to do that. No. Come on. Stop. This is a guy that just blurts out whatever is in the front of his head at the time.
Yeah. That's the reality of it. He does. He just says it. Doesn't matter what it is. Just says it. Here it is. Here you go. This is it. This is what I'm thinking. Right? You don't get that with politicians. Makes us uncomfortable. Right? Oh, my God, that feels weird. You said something that's uncomfortable. You said something that maybe was honest. Honesty's it's a weird thing, man. It is. We all say we want honesty. We don't want honesty. We want to hear the things that we want to hear. We don't want honesty. For better or worse, Trump has shaken up the public view of somewhat of the media, obviously, and also of politics. Do you really think that every one of those Democratic candidates believes that stuff? Do you honestly think that? Do you think that when people clap for certain things, that the virtue signaling that's going on, that all of them believe that to their heart? No. People virtue signal and they do those things because they think it's the right thing to do and they don't want to be labeled as a bad person. And then in their core, a lot of times, I've got a couple friends who they would be labeled as progressives, but when we're together, they're anything but progressives. But in front of people, they're far more progressive because I've known them since we were kids. And it makes me laugh. It does. We want to hear certain things, so they tell it to us. We expect certain things from Donald, and the media goes, oh, it's so hilarious.
It's almost childlike, whereas you take the cookie. Did you take the cookie before? No, I didn't take the cookie. Where he just genuinely doesn't think it's wrong. That's how demented he is, whatever word we want to attach to him, that in front of the entire world, well, why wouldn't I? Wouldn't everyone?
I've always said, like, with the whole cheating thing, do you remember when we go back to that thing when they were talking at Rick Riley, the sports reporter, did that book about how Donald cheats at golf and this, that, and the other. It's just like there. What did I say? Donald thinks everybody's doing it. Donald thinks everybody's doing it. And in many cases, he's absolutely right. People do it. The difference is we want you to say, no, I didn't do it. Or no, you're not supposed to do that. That's what we expect you to say. Even though a lot of times in our heart, we're like, yeah, we you know. We know you did it. We know you're doing it. But we want you to say it. For whatever reason. It boggles the mind. It does. It boggles the mind. It's like, look, just be honest. That's why I say I would love to have a politician that, and that's why I say Hickenlooper. I like Hickenlooper, right? On the Democratic side. He's very interesting to me because he comes out and he's like, yeah, we're not. This is ridiculous. We're not socialists. We're not of these things. This is ridiculous. Why? Because he's speaking the truth. He is.
Democrats must say loudly and clearly that we are not socialists.
Yeah. Because he knows a lot of them, right? Some of these people are going after capitalism on the left side of the aisle, all the while profiting off capitalism, all the while, in many cases, some of them being serial capitalists and entrepreneurs themselves, because they think that's what everybody wants to hear. Maybe we're not grown up enough to handle the truth. Maybe that's it. We're not used to it. Can't believe he said that. Well, is it true? Well, still, can't believe he said it. I don't think he should have said it. Now to kind of walk back from it in the whole 9 yards, but still, it's just an interesting thing. People are going to show you who they are. Trump's the kind of guy that's like, yeah, what do you mean I wasn't supposed to have a cookie? Oh, you serious? I took like 8. He's not demented. Says what he thinks. So far, he's demented. He's a racist. He's a bigot. He's a Nazi. He's a dictator. Right? He's unwell. He's unstable. He's stupid. He's crazy like a fox. He's just crazy. He's something, that's for sure. But at least you know where you stand. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from every single one of you. Immigration, obviously, the debate is going on. Needs to happen. Saw some in front of CNN. 5,200 people currently that are being held, adults, are being held in quarantine because they've been exposed to either the mumps, chickenpox, and or both. Yeah. People asked me last week, Chad, where do you get that 90% of people don't show up for their hearing? Well, there was a hearing about that. It's on C-SPAN. You can go see it. I don't hide anything. I look at real things. Earlier this week, they were talking about it. Lindsey Graham was talking about immigration, talking to the people and the powers that be about what's going on and that 90% number.
What percentage of the people show up for the asylum hearing?
We did an expedited pilot with family units this year. Out of those 7,000 cases, 90 received final orders of removal in absentia.
90% did not show up?
Correct.
That's not good. 90%? No. And remember, you're looking at 3 years at times to get the opportunity for you to even have a hearing. In 3 years, imagine how you've established a life. You're living here. Potentially, if you have kids, your kids are going to school. All of that stuff is happening. You're not sure. You've got the things that you wanted. You're here. Julian Castro, who is, I think he's running for president. He's going to be on the stage. I don't know who is or isn't running anymore at this point in time. I just assume everybody is. But he was asked the question about that. You know, and the catch and release, and should it be a crime or shouldn't it be a crime, and all of these kind of things, you know, in the 90%. And here's his response.
In 1929, the United States passed the Immigration and Nationality Act, And Section 1325 of that basically said that it's a criminal offense to cross the border. However, from 1929 until about 2004, the United States did not enforce somebody crossing the border as a criminal violation. We enforced it basically as a civil violation. And it was after we started enforcing it as a criminal violation that a lot of the problems that we see today of this huge backlog of people out there in the country that are waiting in limbo.
Okay, so if it was a civil violation that we did for a while rather than the criminal, even though it was a criminal violation, but we just didn't prosecute it that way. So what are you trying to say? I'm just curious, right? Like, this is a guy who won't even admit that there's an issue at the border, right? Won't even admit that there's an issue at the border, who's still just praising Obama. I don't get what you're going with this, but there are people like, we shouldn't, this isn't a crime. Okay, so it's not a crime, it's a civil thing. So do we fine them? Well, that would be harsh too. So what is it? I mean, what they want is nothing to happen. You just come, you live here, you do what you do. That's the funny thing. Not all Democrats. A lot of Democrats don't want that, right? But it's hilarious that they don't really have any kind of idea of what they want other than they don't want anything to be done, right? They want to give just enough to placate a few people to make it look like they're doing something. But the reality is they want to say it's a crime, but it's not a crime. It's civil, but it's not civil. They don't want stuff done. And I just sit back and I shake my head. And it's not that we are not a country if we are not going to enforce our laws, in particular of the border. I mean, at that point in time, why pay attention to any of the laws that are out there? If you're not going to say this is a crime, if you're not going to say this is our border, you cannot breach our border. If you're not going to do any, then what's the use? Why even pretend? Just let all 50 states break off into their own little countries. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. So my son yesterday turned 9, Jack, very excited. He's got his little GoPro. He's going outside. His mom sent me. He's got this little electric motorcycle. He's zipping around. And he's got his little GoPro on his helmet. It's so hilarious. Goes like 5 miles an hour. But he's going to his first concert tonight. He's 9. He's going to go see the Goo Goo Dolls and Train. And I was thinking about it. I was like, what was my first concert? I touched a bit about it late last night, but my first concert that was real, like where your parents didn't drag you to something kind of thing. I was, I think, 11 or 12. We were in England. It was like maybe I was probably about 11. I think it was 11 at the time. And we had an opportunity. We were playing in a tournament over there, and a couple of the guys who, like parents and everybody came, a couple older sisters came, and they helped us sneak out. We all went and saw Adamant and Roman Holiday, I think it was. Oh, so cool. I was just like Marvel. Adamant came out and he's all dressed like, he's totally cultural appropriation now. And he's dressed partially like an Indian. And then also, I mean, it was awesome. Producer Phil, your first one was?
Kenny Loggins.
Oh, Kenny Loggins. It's a little bit of a resurgence lately, old Kenny Loggins. How about that? Still looks the exact same as he did in the 80s. What was the first concert you went to and you were like, damn, that was awesome? I see you as a Rush guy. Like, that was your first, I'll never forget
I went because my brothers and sisters went.
Yeah, see. I think my first concert, where I was dragged to, I think it was, the Little River Band. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Tweet at us. Teeth are amazing. Do you know when you get older, they can shift and move? You don't want adult braces. How about clear aligners that are amazing? Fit, custom for you. Guaranteed to get your teeth straighter, brighter, and whiter in less than 6 months. That's what you're going to have with Candid. Candid is incredible. They have orthodontists licensed in your state. They're going to create a treatment plan for you, and they're going to send you a 3D preview of what the final results are going to look like. It is amazing. Other people, dental professionals, whatever that means, them truly licensed orthodontist. You don't even have to go into an office. They're 65% less than braces. You're going to save thousands of dollars with Candid. And again, straighter, brighter teeth in an average of just 6 months. What are you waiting for? Check them out for yourself. Go to candidco.com/Benson. You're going to learn everything you need to know about it, and you're going to save $75 off. That's candidco.com/Benson. Candidco.com/Benson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
let the Washington Beltway strangle you. This is where the exhausted majority comes to refuel, realign, and reevaluate. This is Chad Benson.
You know, I felt for her. Look, I am probably one of the most intense players stepping in between those lines, but I really, really felt for her. And I think anyone who didn't, doesn't really have much of a heart. And I went over to her. I didn't know if she could understand what I was saying, but I just told her, I said, look, you played a great game. You had some great saves. Keep your head up, stay strong, keep fighting, and never give up. And, I want all of those players to know that, we're rooting for them, and we want to see them continue to get better. And, it was good to see. And her tweet back was pretty awesome, too, as well.
That's Carly Lloyd talking about the Thai goalkeeper who gave up a ton of goals the other 13 to the U.S. By the way, there was a bar in Miami that was giving away free shots for every goal that the women scored. And after a while, they're like, nope, sorry, we're stopping it. Carly Lloyd's like, sorry we scored so many goals. Hey, by the way, are you good at massage? Chad, you're such a jerk. You're such a jerk. They play Chile on Sunday, Father's Day. So Thailand supposedly was ranked 32nd, and FIFA rankings are kind of stupid, especially for the women, because you have no idea they may win a bunch of games, but they're playing subpar. Chile supposedly ranked 39th. So if that is any indicator, this game could be worse. I do not think, but I wouldn't be surprised if they put 5 or 6 by the Chileans. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Trump speaks about something with health care. Woo! Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
This is an unfortunate development. Masai watched the end of the game from the tunnel outside the Raptors locker room on television. Once the game was over, he came down the tunnel and wanted to go on the court to celebrate with his team. But because it was a trophy presentation situation and because it was the visiting team winning, there was new security procedures in place and new credentials required. Now, this is standard procedure in the NBA. Masai did not have that credential.
So what happened last night is we got a new NBA champion. They're from the North, eh? They're not the Maple Leafs. No, they're the Raptors. Oh, that country, by the way, is insane for having a champion. Think about this. They invented basketball. First NBA game was played in Canada, I think. Or first professional basketball was played in Canada. Hockey's their national sport. And they haven't had I think the last NHL team to win, was it in Canada, was 93, I think, when they beat the Kings, the Montreal Canadiens, I think. Think about that. This is your sport. And so last night the Raptors rapturously rounded out, oh, look at that, Chad, 3 hours in a row, the NBA Finals at Oracle in Oakland. And their Masai Ujiri, who is their GM, tried to get on the court, right? He's the mastermind behind all of this that built this team. And he didn't have a credential. So he got into it. And now the sheriff's office apparently is pursuing battery charges. I don't know if I would do that, but it was a push and a shove, I guess.
The officer there who was part of an increased security presence around the court did not know who he was. And really the issue is the second contact. Masai and the officer made contact with the officer, and then made a second contact with the officer where, according to the sheriff's sergeant, made contact with the deputy's face. So he is under investigation.
So it's an unfortunate way to end what was an amazing 6 games. I got into basketball during the end of the season, but it was enjoyable to watch, and I watched the night before St. Louis win the Stanley Cup, which I thought was awesome. And it was fun to watch, but it was sad to watch because the Golden State Warriors, who my son loves, he loves Curry, just slowly but surely started to fall apart. So you had a guy injured the first game. So you had one guy who was injured, Kevin Durant, in the middle of the playoffs. Hadn't come back. Then you had another guy in the first game of the finals break his collarbone, but he played sparingly, came back even though they said he wasn't going to. Then you had Kevin Durant, the superstar, arguably the best player in the world, try to come back from a calf strain, supposedly, and play. And he tore his Achilles, so now he's out for probably 12 to 16 months. And by the way, he was going to become a free agent, which he still is going to become, and he'll have max deals. But you're basically going to give him $40 million to do nothing next year but rehab. Then your best player, who's your closer outside of Curry and him last night, the durable Klay Thompson, tears his ACL. Yeah, at the point where I thought if there's a Game 7, they may literally have to go, all right, we're going to take a few fans with us because we don't have enough players. But it was fun to watch last night. It was absolutely fun. My son was devastated. It's like, oh, no, because he loves Klay Thompson. Loves Steph Curry. Thought it was, 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. So Trump came out today, and first of all, he promised us something.
It'll be a very big announcement. Nobody knows what it is. It's going to be a big surprise, but it's going to be a very pleasant one.
I have no idea what he's talking about. And I'm like, okay, what's the big surprise? Right? Like, it's a pleasant one. It is, I don't know. I mean, producer Phil, you get your email every single day from your good friend Tom Steyer. He sent you one today. First of all, whose birthday is it today?
Today is Donald Trump's birthday.
And they're doing something different for Donald Trump's birthday because, unfortunately, it is his birthday, but they're trying to get him out of there. And it is Donald Trump's birthday. And for some people, it's John McCain Day, which I don't even know what that's all about. I wonder what the big announcement is. I read today he spent $1 million on Facebook ads wishing himself happy birthday. I'm like, I don't know if I buy into that. I really don't. I don't. So there's a big announcement coming. I don't know what the big announcement is, but it is coming. But he also talked about something very exciting, potentially, which is health care and health reimbursement accounts that are going to, hopefully, you'll have a chance to take a look at this. And they had this plan in October. This is a little bit different than that plan. But some people are saying it's not going to do much, could hurt ACA. Other people are saying this is going to be great for small business.
This announcement is a monumental victory for small businesses, for their workers, and previously uninsured Americans who will now have access to high-quality health plans of their choice.
Yeah, so it's essentially U.S. employer-funded benefit plan. So it reimburses employees for out-of-pocket medical expenses, but this is differing because it was about, let's say you can pay for your premiums, you can do some of these things. Apparently these things are supposed to be in here now. And you're going to be allowed to use some of this money, I guess, to be able to choose your own plan and certain things like that, so now instead employers will be able to put money into a health reimbursement plan, and you'll be able to go out and shop around and use that money to shop around, which I think will be very interesting. Like everything, I look at Brookings Institute. It's awful. It's horrible. It's probably going to make things a little bit more expensive, may help a few. You go and you look over here and you read Bloomberg and stuff, and I'm like, this could be really good for small businesses and also bigger businesses that have sicker employees. You just never know. And I understand why people get frustrated, and they're like, I would just rather pay the government and then go to the doctor. I get that. Because healthcare is not an easy thing. It's not going to be solved overnight. But, competition to me, I like competition. I would like to see more competition. More competition is going to be better. And one of the things they talked about was the fact that competition across the board in a lot of places has shrunk to virtually nothing. And in some cases, you don't even have a choice at all. Or you have one choice, which is not a good choice.
Thanks to the changes we're making, an estimated 11 million Americans will now choose their own plans with the help of the HRAs.
Yeah, so that's good, right? So you don't have to go, the employer can just say, all right, I'm going to put money here, and you guys can go spend it. You choose your own plans. We're not going to do one another. Will it happen? Won't it happen? How's it going to work? That I don't know. Because like everything else, the proof is always in the pudding. And are we ever even going to get to the point where we see this thing come to fruition? Because as you know, and I know, with politics, possibly not. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Something that's not being talked about that needs to be talked about more is what's going on in Flint, Michigan. Remember Flint, Michigan? Right? Flint, Michigan. Producer Phil, you've been out to Michigan on numerous occasions. Is this correct?
Yes, I have.
And Flint's not a very exciting place, is it, right?
No, Flint is very depressing.
Very depressing. They got a water problem. And there's been a huge problem going on in Flint for a very long time. And now an announcement was made.
Michigan prosecutors said they are dismissing all criminal charges against 8 people in the Flint water scandal and are restarting the investigation. Attorney General Dana Nessel's office made the announcement Thursday and said the charges have been dropped in order to conduct a full and complete investigation.
And some people were angry, like, well, they heard that. Well, what they're doing is they're going to drop everything and they're just going to start anew. I'm still surprised. Like, lawmakers and business people that have taken such advantage of this, that destroyed this water supply. Nobody's in jail. I look around, I think to myself, this is ridiculous, right? This is insane. This is America. This is not some third world country. This is America. This is not like they had a massive, growing up in Southern California, you always think to yourself, you could have, you have bottled water, you have stuff ready. If you're like my mother, who's raising my nieces and nephews, who are now my little brothers and sisters. If you listen to the show, my sister has issues. My mother's adopted all the kids, so they're my brothers and sisters now. So she's always been a forward thinker of what if we had a big earthquake, we had to turn off the gas, we didn't have water. So she's stocked up for it. It's not because of a natural disaster. Flint was because of greed. On all accounts, from government locally to being able to just dispose of a bunch of stuff, where you've got awful situations that happened with the water, and still nobody's been prosecuted for it. And the battle continues to go on. And here we are, those many years later, and nothing has happened.
In a joint statement, the state solicitor general and the Wayne County prosecutors said they had concerns over how the investigation was being handled by the Office of Special Counsel, specifically when it came to evidence. They said the office didn't go after all the available evidence and that the OSC allowed private law firms representing some of the defendants to pick what information would be turned over to law enforcement. They added, "We cannot provide the citizens of Flint the investigation they rightly deserve by continuing to build on a flawed foundation."
Yeah. So it is flawed. So they need to do something. And I'm still amazed at, I look at this place and I think to myself, why do you still live there? Right? Isn't that weird? I know when people say, well, we're stuck here, we can't move. It's like, if you want hard enough in life, you can figure something out, right? If you want hard enough, if you can figure something out. And waiting for government to fix your problems isn't the answer. And waiting for them to get retribution or whatever you're looking for also isn't the answer. At some point in time, you've got to take the entire situation in your own hands. But it's embarrassing. It really is. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from every single one of you guys. You can tweet at us. You can text us. Check out the Instagram. My son's going to his first concert tonight. He's very excited about it. He's going to go see the Goo Goo Dolls and Train. Everybody's like, who are you going to see? He's going to see the Goo Goo Dolls and Train. He's 9, right? He's 9. That's who a 9-year-old should go see. Right? That's like the Imagine Dragons. It was a perfect first concert, but he missed out on that one because they're very positive. Like not he didn't need. I'm sure he'd love to see Post Malone, right? But he's not seeing Post Malone. Sorry. And I'm asking you guys, what was your first concert? So the first time you said, I got to go see a concert. And I'm hearing from a lot of people, because I think everybody's first concert was mom and dad took you to something. All right? From Peter, Paul, and Mary to The Who, all those kind of things. Who'd you see? Who was your first concert? 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's Father's Day. You got these amazing cameras from Blink. Your dad's a gadget guy. He also worries about the house. So you got these new indoor cameras that are awesome. And with your Blink smartphone app, you can check out and see what's going on when you're not there. That's incredible. So, dad worries about the house, the what-if scenario, wants to make sure everything's taken care of. So where Blink comes in. They are incredible. Easy to set up, wire-free, 2 AA batteries, going to last you about 2 years. Sets up in minutes. And again, with that smartphone app, wow, it is incredible. And they're offering 20% off now through June 16th, Father's Day. Father's Day. Dad would love these. No subscriptions, no contracts. It's incredible what Blink can do. Totally affordable. Absolutely. Thanks to Blink, home security just got easier. Visit blinkprotect.com/Benson, blinkprotect.com/Benson, blinkprotect.com/Benson. Blink cameras are available on Amazon and at Best Buy. Blink's an Amazon company, and it works with Alexa. It's the Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
We may have a problem. Men in Black International will likely top the box office, but it's not looking at an out-of-this-world debut. Tracking somewhere in the $30 to $40 million range, easily the lowest opening for an MIB movie, though this is the first one not to feature Will Smith or Tommy Lee Jones. The other familiar face, Shaft, with 3 generations of Shaft, including Samuel L. Jackson. Shaft looking at $15 to $20 million. And the Mindy Kaling, Emma Thompson comedy Late Night expands into theaters nationwide.
I got to be honest with you. If I was going to go see any of those, it'd probably be Shaft. I'm going to go see Men in Black, but if it was just me, I liked the first Men in Black. Didn't care much for the second one. I don't even know if there was a third one. Is this the third one? I couldn't tell you. But I'll go see it because the Jack wants to see it, and he's going to come hang out with me for a bit. For a smidge. He's going to come hang out with me for a smidge. Start next week. So we're probably going to go see that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. Hope you are doing well. I love it when you do well. Makes me smile. Makes my heart happy when you do well. It does. So the Democrats have named the folks that are going to be on stage. I'm going to go through some of those folks. The top 3 are in the second night, which I found to be very interesting, right? They kept Warren and Sanders apart. Again, I don't know if I would have done that. But they did put the Looper with Bernie because he's been very, very vocal. I talked about, hey, I like Hickenlooper, right? So I said that. I had 3 or 4 people just tell me what a horrible human being I am for liking him. Just because I also said something nice about, what's his name? Buttigieg, and I got hammered for that too. And I'm just like, what is wrong with you people? It's like, what is wrong that you can't say this? This is our problem with this system and this tribalness, where we go to one place where we can't even have a conversation at all about, like, I like that person. Yeah, Do I think Hickenlooper's going to win? No, I don't think Hickenlooper's going to win. I do not, but I think he's honest, right? He comes on stage, looks at all the Democrats who are like, we need socialism. And he's like, yeah, it's not going to work. That's stupid. What's wrong with you people? Don't you wish there was somebody who was like that, who would, like, do what Trump does, but even feel free to, like, it's almost like a relationship, You're like, I'm going to treat them like dirt and watch them come flock to me. You guys are stupid. Like when you go to a comics, right? You go see a comic on stage. Sometimes there's that comic who hammers everybody, and you want to be one of the people in the front few rows. And the reason for that is because you hope you get picked because it's part of the fun. And I want to see who's going to stand out next week. I don't know if any of them can stand out, to be honest with you. I really don't. I look at them and I'm like, man, like Beto, this is it for Beto right here. Like this is it. You fail this and it's over. Your Vanity Fair is you can go back to being Jack Kerouac and roaming the countryside looking for yourself. Right, you can go do that. So he's got one chance, and it is next week. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us, asking people what your first concert is. It's a great one. Somebody's first concert. This is the first concert. I swear to God, it's my first concert. I believe it, right? I believe you. NWA, Too Short. Opener was DOC. At Rock Trauma, hashtag Alice Cooper 1973 $1 Billion Babies Tour. Loved it. George Strait, Peter, Paul, and Mary. Foreigner, Cold as Ice. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter. What was your first concert? Jack's going to his first concert tonight. He's uber excited about it. Please do tell. Text the program. Tweet at me as well. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I think you might want to listen. There's nothing wrong with listening. Somebody comes up and says, hey, I have information on your opponent. Do you call the FBI? I don't think
coming from
I'll tell you what,
you do.
I've seen a lot of things over my life. I don't think in my whole life I've ever called the FBI. Oh, let me call the FBI. Give me a break. Life doesn't work that way.
The FBI director says that's what should happen.
The FBI director is wrong.
So that was Trump and his big unfettered access with George Stephanopoulos, right? You know, and I've just tweeted a picture. It's still my favorite picture. Trump's in the limo, and he's sitting there, and Stephanopoulos is right next to him. Stephanopoulos has his seatbelt on, and Trump doesn't. It just makes me laugh. So, of course, maybe you do, maybe you don't. Today, Trump trying to clean up a little bit.
First of all, I don't think anybody would present me with anything bad because they know how much I love this country. Nobody's going to present me with anything bad. Number two, if I was, and of course you have to look at it because if you don't look at it, you're not going to know if it's bad. How are you going to know if it's bad? But of course you'd give it to the FBI or report it to the Attorney General or somebody like that. But of course you do that.
I don't know if he would do that. Well, he's going to look at it. Let's be real. But here's my issue, and I argue with some people who just can't stand Trump at all. And this is my issue is don't think that they all act as if only Trump has ever done anything wrong. They all act as if Trump is the only one who is ever, would ever even think about doing something. My God, the person he ran against didn't listen to what anybody had to say, had her own private server in somebody's bathroom in Denver, Colorado or something, and then wiped the damn thing clean of 30,000 Groupon emails, supposedly. So let's just all slow our roll for a second. Should he have said it? No, he shouldn't have. Did he try to whop it back, and did anybody believe it? No, I don't think anybody believed it. Even people who support him didn't believe it. In saying that, get over it. It is what it is. It's time to get serious. You want to beat him? There's a place for you to beat him. That's next year. Next year, you have a chance to beat him in November of 2020. Doesn't matter who it is. Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Beto O'Rourke, Tulsi Gabbard, Marianne Williamson. Oh, my God. She's running for president, which will be very interesting. Let's see some of the books that because she's going to be on that stage, and we're going to break it down. I'm not quite sure how she qualified, but she is, if you guys don't know, she's an author, a lecturer, an activist. She's written 13 books, including 4 New York Times bestsellers. She founded the Project Angel Food, a volunteer food delivery group that helps homebound people with AIDS. And it's a very big project in Los Angeles. I remember how big it was. So let's talk about some of the books she's written. She's written some books. You know, she's been on with Oprah. You get on with Oprah, you're living it. Healing the Soul of America. That's what she's doing right now. A Return to Love, Reflections of Principles, A Course in Miracles. Course in Miracles. It's another one of those things that she's written. So she is on the stage. So be prepared, kids. Be prepared. She's coming. Illuminata, the Law of Divine Compensation. A Course in Weight Loss. Oh, this should be fun. It's going to be interesting. It is going to be interesting. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Can they beat him? I don't know. I hope they talk about immigration. I'm interested to see how the Democrats approach immigration because we know we got a problem. It's getting worse. You know, you've got the Julian Castros of the world. They don't think any of it's wrong. They think it's all created by Trump. But the reality is here's what's created the tsunami of people coming here at a high rate of speed. The fear is that now that we know how bad it has gotten, and now that it's been brought to light, that eventually America is going to tire of it, and doesn't matter who's in the White House, they're going to want to end it. So you better get here as fast as you possibly can. Our laws are a mess. They need to be fixed. People ask me, hey, Chad. That's how I think they sound when they tweet at me. You said that 90% of the people aren't showing up for their hearings. Where do you get that? I get that from this guy who was at the House again on Tuesday talking about the programs they're running, and they're running against the numbers, and this is what he's getting.
What percentage of the people show up for the asylum hearing?
We did an expedited pilot with family units this year. Out of those 7,000 cases, 90 received final orders of removal and abstention.
90% did not show up?
Correct.
90%. 90%. We've got a broken system. The system's not getting any better anytime soon unless we fix something. You know that. I know that. We all know that. They found a trick, a loophole, as some people call it. No, what they found is something that's there. It's a law. It was put there. They're just exploiting it. And that's on us that we need to change it. Now, Lindsey Graham thinks he can do that. But we'll see.
Well, number one, why has it doubled from last year? Why do we have so many families? Why do we have so many people from Central America? If a small child is brought to the United States from Central America, we can't send that child back. You can from Mexico and Canada. You got to change that law. If you got a minor child, you can only hold them for 20 days. That's not enough to process the case, so we turn the entire family loose into the country. If you read a card asking for asylum, you're entitled to a hearing. It takes 3 years to get a hearing. We don't hold people 3 years. We let them loose in the country. They never show up. So I'm going to change the law to say that if you apply for asylum from Central America, you have to do it in your own country or Mexico, not here.
Which would be great, right? Like, that's the whole thing. And I guess there's some issues already at the border. People are upset by what's going on. Not at our border, but at the Mexico border. But why does Lindsey bring this up again today? Well, it's simple. Somebody approached him and asked him a question.
Senator Durbin asked me not to mark my bill up, which just deals with asylum and the Flores decision. He says, I want to see if we can find a common ground here. What about money for Central America? I said, listen, I'm willing to help the people in Central America turn on economic development money after you turn off the flow.
So are you talking substantively? Yes. Will Durbin bring anyone with him?
I don't know. I know this, that if you don't change the asylum laws and you don't change the Flores decision, they'll keep coming forever.
Yeah. They're going to keep coming, and they're going to continue to keep coming. They continue. Now, as far as giving them money, we pump a ton of money into Central America. If you look at the indexes that are out there and the studies that are out there of how corrupt they are, those three countries are so corrupt. And they have zero support amongst the population. They all know how corrupt they are. They understand that. So do I want to give more money to a country that is so corrupt from top down in government down to the bottom of government and back up to the top of government? I do not. Because I know one thing. It never gets to the people, ever. Would I be interested in figuring out how we can pump investment in there through businesses and things that we as a nation can control? That's something to think about. Absolutely. But how do we go about doing that? And that clean bill, if you will, is very interesting. To a person, every person I talk to in the Border Patrol, I'll be in Yuma tonight. Every person I talk to that works on the border, that is part of the agency, tells me the same thing. If you want to fix this, the number one thing you do that will take this once again from extremely heavy flow through of people to a much more manageable trickle is fix the asylum laws. Now, some of the stuff that's been suggested, which is the people on the border, the agents themselves, going through training and becoming the first interviewer to interview somebody for credible fear hearing, which means you have to. So if they interview and they say, I don't think you have a credible fear based on the parameters that are out there, so you can't get asylum here, they have 10 days then to see a judge. Right now, we turn them loose, and it's 3 years before they see that judge. And a lot of times the ones that do show up know immediately that they're going to get a second hearing. That's the one they don't show up for. And I don't think Dick Durbin would be asking this question if he didn't think he could get some other people. But we've got to do something. You know it. I know it. What is it? That's the question. It's not going to be perfect. Just because you built a wall in certain areas doesn't mean that it's going to stop. Just because you fixed asylum laws doesn't mean it's going to stop. I think if you want real comprehensive reform, you've got to be willing to give a little to get a little. Maybe make it a little bit easier for people to apply for asylum? Absolutely. I can see that. And what those parameters are? Maybe, and this is just a maybe, make it a little bit easier to get people out of here that shouldn't be here. Again, it's a give and take. What can I get? What can I take? What do I got to give to get what I want? What can I live with? What can you live with? But we don't have politicians that are sold for this because they're enjoying the fact that the disease, if you will, is making them relevant, giving them something to fight for and against. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Trump today was speaking about health care, but before all of that, he said this.
That'll be a very big announcement. Nobody knows what it is. It's going to be a big surprise, but it's going to be a very pleasant one.
I have no idea what it is. It's going to be a big surprise. I don't know. Probably who the new person is going to be his press secretary. I'm just trying to think. I've heard that the person in the lead is not Alex Jones. For those of you it's trending out there, apparently, it's not Alex Jones. Just want to throw that out there. I do believe that the person I hear is going is I think the spokesperson for or the press secretary for Melania. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if it's somebody we've never heard of. Right? Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it's Ivanka. Right? Maybe it's Don Jr. I don't know. Did you see him the other day at the press conference? Phil, when he looks out, he goes, hold on a second. I want to see if I like any of you. Oh, I like you. Oh, my God. He is, he's something. He is. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. It is the Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
Taylor Swift's new song takes on social media trolls.
Say it in the street, that's a knockout. But you say it in a tweet, that's a cop-out.
And anti-gay bullies.
Control your urges to scream about all the people you hate. 'Cause shade
No mistake that the song You Need to Calm Down has made its debut during Pride Month, and it's getting a lot of praise from equality groups.
Shade never made anybody less gay. Look at that. Taylor Swift. I saw the other night, I don't know if you're aware of this, MTV, flipping around the other night in my hotel room, and I was like, hey, these are videos, like real videos, like from today. And I watched like 5 or 6 of them, and apparently at night on a channel, one of MTV's 948 channels that doesn't have a single mom that's 14 and pregnant or whatever that show is, people living in a house that hey, we just took the craziest people we could find and stuck them all in a house. Let's watch this. So it was videos. I saw a video and I was like, oh wow, check that out. That's a real video from MTV. Well, how about apples that are those apples? Taylor Swift. She's getting political. We'll see how this goes. We'll see. I was asking people, what's your first concert? My son's going to his first concert tonight. People are like, what's he going to go see? Who's he going to go see? He's going to go see the Goo Goo Dolls, all right? He's going to go see Train, because that's what you should see when you're a little kid, right? Somebody just texted in and said, hey, I'm listening to you in Vegas. Her name's Donna. Billy Joel. She went with her brother, she thinks, to see Billy Joel in concert. Oh, that's a good concert to go see. My first concert was, I think with where I was taken, because, sometimes I can't find it somewhere. It was like the Little River Band or something like that. But then my first concert, we all snuck out when I was in Europe, and I was like 11 or 12, and we saw Adamant, and we were very dangerous. Very dangerous. Adamant and Roman Holiday, I think, or the Joe Boxers, somebody like that. I think it was Roman Holiday. It's crazy. I was living life crazy. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us as we talk about immigration. Something's happening on the border.
For the most part, mumps has disappeared most of the world, but it's now making many undocumented immigrants sick. Immigration officials saying more than 4,000 people exposed, and since it can take nearly a month for symptoms to show up, many of those men, women, and children must be isolated before being removed from the country or receive an immigration hearing.
On top of that, so they think there's 5,200 total people that have been exposed to either mumps, chicken's pox, or both. And they're all now quarantined. And, that's that's not something you want. Another opportunity for people to say, see, who knows what's happening here? Who knows what's happening here? Here's a question, right? Like a crazy question. Not saying it would happen. What if there was somebody who was able to come here who had something like Ebola and they got through? How fast do you think they'd shut down the border? Just throwing it out there, right? In the world of what ifs, never say it's impossible, right? But you never know. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. What's your first concert? Who'd you go see? All right, it's a Pink Floyd, Peter, Paul, and Mary, The Who. Some people, I'm surprised at how many people say, I've never been to a concert. I get it. I've been to enough to know that I don't want to go anymore. I don't want to deal with crowds, and I don't want to deal with I hate parking. Ugh. Drives me crazy. A valedictorian, she speaks her mind. Talk about that straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The candidate
candidates right now are in the stage of the Democratic primary where they're not like being mean to each other. They're not taking each other down. And I think lots of people who want Donald Trump to lose the general election hope that the Democratic primary stays like that forever. So mutually supported. I mean, ultimately, the Democratic primary should be a hard-fought, knockdown, drag-out contest because you want whoever gets to the general to be tough and to have proven themselves against difficult criticism, even unfair criticism, because you know what it's going to be like to run against Trump. It's like running against a blender.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? You're going to, because just remember this. And they've talked about it. I mean, look, who was it? Was it, David Letterman talked about the fact that Trump he's fine. He's self-deprecating. It's okay. You come at him. He's okay. He takes it. But he likes to dish it out as well. Not a lot of people like that. Right? So if you're going to be on stage in 2 weeks, and there's 20 of them that are, you better be prepared to do something different. To me, I want to know who's going to stand out, right? So we've got the lineups. They're officially set in stone for what will be the most boring potential. I mean, you only need I'm looking at all of them, and I'm thinking to myself, everybody pretty much has the same pitch, minus a few. And a few of them, they have one pitch. Jay Inslee only cares about climate change. That's what he's running on. I think he's running on this to be essentially to bring more awareness to climate change and to maybe sell a book or two and become the new Al Gore, right? Marianne Williamson, you don't know who she is? She's a self-help author. She wants to change everything through love. At least it's different. Everybody else is in the world of we're going to give you everything free that you've ever dreamed of, for all intents and purposes. They have the same thing. One thing about Trump is he completely stood out. Is there anybody on here that's going to stand up? Night number one, Cory Booker, Julian Castro, John Delaney. Who? Exactly. Bill de Blasio, Tulsi Gabbard. I like Tulsi. Jay Inslee. We just spoke about him. Klobuchar, Big Beto O'Rourke. Tim Ryan, not the football player. And E-Dub, Elizabeth Warren. They separated her and Bernie. It's not interesting. Night number two is the big night. So if this was a concert, right? I feel like if this is a concert, you want to go to night number two. Night number two, Michael Bennett. Exactly. Joe Biden, Peter Buttigieg, Kirsten Gillibrand, Kamala Harris, the Hickenlooper, Bernie Sanders, Swalwell, Marianne Williamson, and Andrew Yang. The Yang. What do I think is going to happen? Well, what can happen in what do you, I don't even know how long you get.
2 hours for each of those two nights. There's 10 candidates on the stage for those entire 2 hours. Plus there has to be some time like for the questions to be asked. I mean, how many minutes are each of them going to get? And for somebody like, Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders, who's doing really well in the polls, do you essentially just want to lie low and hopefully nobody notices you and you can keep riding your name recognition?
I feel like Bernie is very bad at that.
Yeah. I don't know. It's me. What are you going to do? So what do you do? Right? You're not going to have that long. Somebody has to stay. Here's the thing. If you're going to get in there, if you've learned anything, if I'm any one of these people, I'm watching all of Trump's tapes going, how did he separate himself? How did he go into this thing and make so much noise? How did he go into this thing and do so much against so many that they started to shrink and he rose? You've got to figure it out.
What is the lesson of Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump in terms of how to beat him in a general election? I don't think anybody has any idea. I think it's got to be something new.
Yeah. And what's new? Joe Biden? Is that new? Bernie Sanders? Is that new? Elizabeth Warren? Is that new? I mean, I look at these Democrats and I think to myself, it's like you go to the store. All of it's the exact same, right? You're buying the same thing. It's just you're looking at the expiration date. That's the only thing that separates it. For most of them. Marianne Williamson, Andrew Yang, Swalwell. Hickenlooper should be interesting. I want to see what Hickenlooper does when he looks around and goes, what are you guys talking about? Why are you guys telling everybody that they're all going to get free stuff? Why are you guys telling everybody that they're all going to get this? I want to see if he's going to do that. One of them, I'm hoping on each night, will surprise. But who will that be? And how do you do it? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Now imagine this. You're named Valedictorian of a high school. You get to give the big speech, right? To talk about your 4 fabulous years that you, or 3 fabulous years, depending on where you are in the country, that you went to school. How amazing it was, and all the help and stuff that you got. But we're living in a day and age where, you know what? I'm fine with the truth. So, you know what? I get it all the time. People tell me how much they hate me. Okay, if that's your truth, great. It's fine. I love that this girl here in San Ysidro, in San Diego, California, high school San Ysidro, decided, you know what? I'm going to tell the truth, and I'm going to put people on blast. And she did.
To my counselor, thanks for teaching me to fend for myself. You were always unavailable to my parents and I, despite appointments. Only in these past few weeks, with the award ceremonies and graduation coming up, did you begin making your appearance. And might I note, you expressed to me your joy in knowing that one of your students was valedictorian when you had absolutely no role in my achievements.
Oh, she's just getting started. Her name is Natalie, and I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong, and it's not because I'm a jerk. As we all know, you listen to the Chad Benson Show, I'm not always great at names, but I think her last name is Burr. And she was just getting started. So she hammered her counselor, right? So who do we have left?
To the staff in the main office, thank you for teaching me how to be resourceful. Your negligence to inform me of several scholarships until the day before they were due potentially caused me to miss out on thousands of dollars. When applying for a work permit, you repeatedly turned me away, despite confirming with my employer and parents that all my paperwork was filled correctly. I've had to escalate issues with staff to an assistant principal various times to reach any sort of solution.
So far, she's hammered her counselor, right, for never being there, ignoring the meetings, then taking credit for her being valedictorian, all the while doing nothing. She's hammered the front office staff for ignoring certain situations where she could have gotten loans and all of these kind of things and not helping her with her work permit. But she's not done. Here we go.
To the teacher who was regularly intoxicated during class this year. Thank you for using yourself as an example to teach students about the dangers of alcoholism. Being escorted by police out of school left a lasting impression. I hope that future students and staff learn from these examples.
I think that's hilarious. You got to love that. Now, she did go on to praise some of her teachers that went above and beyond and worked hard, but I thought that was funny. And her mom said, you know what? I thought it was great. You know, because they were frustrated by the way the school had gone and done certain things. They were frustrated. And, you know, the teacher thing I thought was, I'm waiting for that. You know, I'm waiting for the union to go, yeah, that girl should be reprimanded. That girl should be, oh, God, that was hilarious. She came hard at those people, and I'm sure you're going to be hearing more about her. But valedictorian, right? She spit the truth, as they say. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from every single one of you. So the twist in the David Ortiz thing continues. They're arresting more and more. I think we're up to 9 people now. Now, David Ortiz was a great baseball player for the Boston Red Sox. He'll probably be a first ballot Hall of Famer in the Dominican Republic, his hometown. The perps are now being, how should we say, they've had their walk, they've had their talk, and they're now appearing in court.
5 of the 6 men accused in the alleged ambush of former Red Sox slugger David Ortiz were led into a Dominican Republic courtroom for their first appearance. Investigators in the DR say the suspects were offered nearly $8,000 to target the Red Sox legend. Some of the suspects have possible connections to the U.S. Prosecutors in New Jersey saying 25-year-old Rolfi Ferreira Cruz, the alleged shooter, was listed as a robbery suspect in the Garden State last year.
Here's something interesting. So they've arrested a woman now. And now people are saying, well, hold on a second. We were paid this money to shoot somebody, but we shot the wrong guy. You're like, what? The Dominican Republic is having issues. I don't know if you saw this, but Barbara Cochran, who is on Shark Tank, her brother died. You've had several other people that have been injured and beat up and a few tourists that have died. And then you had this. Not good when you really live off tourist dollars to have your tourist dying. That is not a good look. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. Okay. So my son's going to his first concert tonight, and I was asking him what your first concert was and stuff. And it was very interesting because I read this article today in the USA Today, and I found very fascinating of the things that we don't do anymore. So I've always said in this world right now, the Gen Xers have an advantage over all the generations in the sense that we know what it's like to be without a cell phone. We know what it's like to play outside. We know what it's like to do a lot of things that the younger generation has no idea what it is, right? And we also, because we created so much of the technology, we also understand the technology better than an older generation does. So I think we're positioned really well, although we're the smallest of all generations. Here's some of the things that the younger generation has no idea. Memorizing a phone number. No idea. I still remember my childhood phone numbers of like my friends and my phone number and my grandma's phone number. I still remember that. I could not tell you any other phone numbers at this point in time. I couldn't. I don't think any of you could. How about a phone book? Don't even. A younger generation has no idea what they are. Zero idea of what a phone book is. Making photo albums, which is a niche, fun thing to do now. But let's be real, we don't. The people that use like when you go and you take photos on the Google and they'll send you, hey, we put a collage thing together. You can do that. That's just a fun thing to do. I love this. Call and get movie times. Do you remember that? Oh, my God. Was it Movie Phone? Thank you for calling Movie Phone. How about this one? Make a mixtape. Not happening anymore, kids. Not happening anymore. And this one made me laugh. Cut things out of a newspaper. Oh, my grandma and mom used to do stuff like that. They'd cut a little something out. Look at this. I thought you'd find this interesting. It was so awesome. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us to Chad Benson Show.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say
On Tuesday, 15 people were stung by stingrays in Coronado near San Diego. And then on Thursday, 12 more were stung. Lifeguards say it's a warm water drawing in stingrays to the beach area.
Yeah, they don't want to get stepped on, and that's their only defense mechanism is they have a barb.
As many are finding out, getting stung is painful. Phoenix Stofa is from Colorado on vacation and learned the hard way.
It ran up my whole foot, just stinging.
Lifeguards say those walking in shallow water need to shuffle their feet to warn stingrays they're coming.
The shuffle. The stingray shuffle. Where I grew up in Southern California, we had a little bay where it was just stingrays were everywhere. So you had to know when you walk out there, you just kind of shuffle your feet and you'll see them, kind of take off. But yeah, you get stung by them. It's a herder. It ain't fun. It ain't fun for sure. Speaking of the ocean, a young girl who was attacked by a shark a couple weeks ago is speaking out. Yeah, indeed. Paige Wizard's her name, and she has an amazing story of being attacked by a bull shark, only to find out there was 2 bull sharks in the area itself. And rather than take pity and want people to have pity on her and hate the shark, she's taking the exact opposite direction, which is amazing.
I think with this situation, I can transform it into something that's not like, oh, how tragic, 17-year-old lost a leg. No, 17-year-old lost a leg and we're popping, I think I could transform this into something good for me and good for sharks and good for the environment, too.
Yeah, great. I love that. And it was a battle. It was not an easy thing. This was not one of those situations where, you've got a shark and it's a quick bite. It was something that was completely just, he came hard and big time.
I grabbed her with my left arm and I pulled her up over the water. And when I pulled her up, a shark came up with her. And it was a big shark.
Yeah, big shark. That's her dad, Charlie Winter, who was not going to give up without a fight.
I was hitting it, and I hit it with everything I could, and it let go.
Here's the thing. In situations like this, it doesn't matter what it is. You're bitten by something, any of the things that are going on out there that happen, all of these things that, whether you're bitten by, say, for instance, a rattlesnake or all of the things that happen along the way, you have to have the right situation to play itself out to make sure you're okay. And when you lose your leg like this, there is, as they talk about, a chain of events that needs to take place for this thing to play itself out.
There's a very long chain of events that happen. If one of those links in that chain got taken out, Paige wouldn't be here.
Yeah, because you got to think about it. She's lost her leg. The amount of blood she must have lost is tremendous along the way. She's losing blood, you're losing time, and everything plays itself out. And literally, minutes are, seconds and minutes are so valuable in a situation like that. And there were enough people in that chain that did the things that they had to do that kept her alive. But I love her attitude. What a great attitude. What an absolutely amazing attitude to have right there. Because I think you could be bitter. And I think this is the beauty of the modern times. We realize that, in the 60s and 70s and people shark hunted, they would freak out over something like this and they would want to go cull all the sharks. But we've realized, based on all the things that have been happening, over the last 15, 20 years, that we're in a different world now, and we see animals in a much different way. We also realize we're going into their home, and that they're not these voracious killers. Although I will say this, of all of the sharks, the bull shark, which bit her, was the worst, and continues to be the worst shark and the most aggressive of sharks. But, she's got a good attitude about that, and we need nature in so many ways, and going out and killing them wouldn't be a good thing. And I think our attitudes have really changed over the last 20 plus years. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. My son Jack turned a whopping 9 years old yesterday, so he's going to his first concert tonight. A lot of you have been texting in about your first concert. Lots of No Doubt, Green Day, some Who, Pink, Leonard Skinner. A lot of people are texting in. I'm excited for Jack. He's uber excited about going to see his first concert. And he's going to see the Goo Goo Dolls and Train, which is a perfect concert, a first concert for somebody. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
What percentage of the people show up for the asylum hearing?
We did an expedited pilot with family units this year. Out of those 7,000 cases, 90 received final orders of removal in absentia.
90% did not show up?
Correct.
90%. Who is that, Chad? It's all lies. The asylum law is an issue. And earlier today, Lindsey Graham, talked about what may be happening and a signal to try to fix at least one thing in the immigration problem that potentially could change a lot.
Well, number one, why has it doubled from last year? Why do we have so many families? Why do we have so many people from Central America? If a small child is brought to the United States from Central America, we can't send that child back. You can from Mexico and Canada. You got to change that law. If you got a minor child, you can only hold them for 20 days. That's not enough to process the case, so we turn the entire family loose into the country. If you read a card asking for asylum, you're entitled to a hearing. It takes 3 years to get a hearing. We don't hold people 3 years. We let them loose in the country. They never show up. So I'm going to change the law to say that if you apply for asylum from Central America, you have to do it in your own country or Mexico, not here.
Yeah, which, let's be real, is what we should be looking at. Let's try to figure this thing out. We don't have to change everything. We don't have to be the Julian Castros of the world that doesn't think anything should be criminal. You should be allowed to come and go as you please. Blah, 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 blah. Let's figure this out in a real way, like grown-ups, so we can try to stem the tide of people that are coming here illegally. For whatever reason why, we can have empathy. Let's see if there's some other things we can do outside the box where we could go, okay, let's get this done.
Senator Durbin asked me not to mark my bill up, which just deals with asylum and the Flores decision. He says, I want to see if we can find a common ground here. What about money for Central America? I said, listen, I'm willing to help the people in Central America turn on economic development money after you turn off the flow.
So are you talking substantively? Yes. Will Durbin bring anyone with him?
I don't know. I know this, that if you don't change the asylum laws and you don't change the Flores decision, they'll keep coming forever.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is a huge thing. If you're not going to fix like what I was trying to explain this, right? You know, okay, so you're a plumber. Do you try to repair something that's broken, right? So you don't shut the water off. You just leave the water on, yet you try to, no, you don't. You shut the water off. If you're going to replace the sink or whatever it is, you shut the water off and then you repair it. Then you turn the water back on if you have to. But then you have a way to, you know, because we don't even have a drip anymore. It's just a steady flow. Right? Let's stop that. Fix what needs to be fixed. And then we can worry about everything else down the line. Do we send more money? I don't know if I'm a big fan of that. Partially because if you go and look at the in their countries, Honduras and Guatemala, I think Guatemala's new study is that like 90% of the people or 86% of the people feel that their government is corrupt. They have if you go and look at the corruption scale in government, like these three countries are off the scale. So giving them more money isn't going to be a helper. We better figure something out. Because we do need to address the problem there so people will want to stay there. And by the way, everybody says, well, if you fix that problem there, they're all going to want to stay there. Not everybody's going to want to stay. A lot of people do still want to come here. But we need to figure out how we're going to do this. Because what we have going on right now isn't working at all. I think we know that. So, and I've said, having been on the border at McAllen, Texas, having been to Tucson, having been to Yuma, having been to down in San Diego, every time I talk to a border agent, they all say the same thing. Fix the asylum law. Fix that, and that takes care of a lot of this. It's broken. Let's fix the asylum law, and then we'll go from there. Then we can go from there. And doing something like Lindsey Graham was saying was, let's just fix the asylum law. We'll leave everything else the way it is at this moment in time. We're not going to put anything else in there. It's just going to be a clean bill of this is what we want for the asylum law. Let's try to get that through. Dick Durbin's like, let's look at this. I think that doesn't solve everything? No. But I think it could definitely help. Because they figured out that they can use our laws to benefit themselves. And that word has gotten out fast. And here we are.
There are two. Many names to list with 20 candidates, now divided into two random groups. Top polling candidate Elizabeth Warren will face off against Cory Booker, Beto O'Rourke, Amy Klobuchar, and a number of lower polling candidates on June 26th. The second night, the 27th, will have three of the top polling candidates, including Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, and Kamala Harris.
Yeah, so this will be interesting. I don't know how much time they're going to get. I was trying to figure out. It's like you're sitting there thinking, well, how much time do you get? So if it's only 2 hours, right? And too, you got to think about something that people don't take into account is the question portion of it. How much time are they going to take up? Right? And then you're going to have probably a studio audience or two question, because that's what we tend to do nowadays. So is there going to be the Facebook question? I mean, so how much time are they going to take up? So realistically, you may only have 90 minutes of talk time. So we'll see. First night, June 26th, Cory Booker, Julian Castro, John Delaney, Bill de Blasio, Tulsi Gabbard, Jay Inslee, Amy Klobuchar, Beto O'Rourke, Tim Ryan, Elizabeth Warren. I will say this. This is Beto O'Rourke's. This is his Hail Mary. If he can be charismatic and he can be somebody who can really wow the crowd, he may have a chance of staying in this thing a little bit longer. He's on fumes, and if this thing does not go well for him and he continues just to be just the lump that he's become, then this is it for him. I think this is his final straw. 27th, the next night, Michael Bennett, no idea, thought he played football, but apparently he's running. Joe Biden, heard of him, right? 309 years old. How about that? Peter Buttigieg, 12. So you got the opposite sides of things. Kirsten Gillibrand, Kamala Harris, Hickenloop. I'm a Hickenlooper. Bernie Sanders, Eric Swalwell, Marianne Williamson, Andrew Yang. So that's night number 2. I don't even know if we'll see fireworks. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. I would like to think we're going to see some fireworks, but I look out there and I think, I don't see anybody here that's going to throw down. And you need to separate yourself, right? Like and I'm sure, like a lot of comics, like a lot of people who do auditions, like a lot of people, everybody who's ever done and gone, and how many of you out there listening have gone to you've gone to whether it's an audition or you've gone to some sort of, you've been interviewed for a job and you're like, I wish I would have said that. I wish I would have said that. I wish I would have done this. I wish comics should say, God, I should have done this instead of that. I should have said this here. I could have thrown this in. That would have been a great thing to throw in. So we'll see. We will see who could have separated themselves and who is going to eventually just be bumped. I think this is Beto's last chance. Throw the Hail Mary. Throw it. You got a chance. This is it. Go out there.
We want to get them back to the table if they want to go back. I'm ready when they are, but whenever they're ready, it's okay.
That right there is Trump talking about Iran. He wants them to come back to the table, but also understands what took place yesterday.
Iran did do it, and they did it because you saw the boat. I guess one of the mines didn't explode, and it's probably got essentially Iran written all over it.
What's going to happen? That's the question now. What is going to happen? I'm always amazed at people who hate our country. There's a lot of people out there who just, it's a false flag. It's on both sides, right? Like both sides, the left and the right, have people who don't trust our government. The right, they're coming to take you away. They're coming to do this. They're coming to do that. It's all of these kind of things to take away more of your freedoms. The left it's all fake. This is a false flag. Just like over here on the right, they're saying something's a false flag because they want to do this or they want to do that. America's at fault. It was probably Americans who put this on the boat. I saw a bunch of that yesterday. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens because let's be real, right? Even before Trump got there, people on the left said the same thing. The largest state sponsor of terror is Iran. And they're getting, again, more and more of a foothold in certain areas. They're taking more and more chances because they want to find out. I think now they want to see, we saw what we did when Obama was in office. We took some of those guys hostage, right? Some of their boat, released that picture. So is there a line with this guy, this Trump guy?
President Trump has been very strong and has warned Iran not to commit any type of attack. It's unclear if this is kind of the president's red line, because this isn't an attack directly on U.S. personnel or interests. And so what the response is going to be is, again, what we're watching for right now.
Yeah, they're going to send some more people there. They're going to show strength. And I don't think we're going to get involved in any way, shape, or form unless we're actually directly attacked. Then, of course, I would expect us to respond. Who wouldn't? Protect. We'll probably escort a few of the ships here and there, especially ones that are part of our allies and stuff. But it's escalating. Iran's going to poke. They want to see how far they can take it. They want to see what we're willing to do. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. It's my son's first concert tonight. He's going to see the Goo Goo Dolls and Train. What was your first concert? Right? Somebody said the Wiggles. The Wiggles? Oh, I'm amazed how many people have never seen a concert, too. That's always amazes me. It's like I've never been to a concert. I've been to a lot of concerts. I don't care. I don't like the people anymore. I don't want to go. Not that, I don't like people anyways, but I just don't want to go. I don't want to go to parking. I do the same thing with, like, sporting events. It's like, is parking going to be an issue? Yeah, then I don't want to go. I'll watch it on TV. Right? Like, that's, like, I don't... Because I get into the game, by the time I get comfortable, my whole thought process is like, I got to battle out of the parking lot. It's going to be a fight. I don't want to do that. Same thing with concerts. Is parking an issue? Yeah, well, no, I don't want to be there. I don't want to be there. I know. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Amazing organization I've been working with, and they are incredible, called Wounded Paw. Wounded Paw. What they do is they recognize there's an issue. 20 vets a day commit suicide. They also realize there's an issue out there because we have so many unwanted animals, in particular dogs. And what's happening is we're euthanizing those dogs by the thousands. So what they're doing is they're going in and they're rescuing dogs that otherwise would be essentially put to sleep. They're training them to be service dogs. And then they're getting them to the people that really need help. Our veterans, our first responders, and their families. It's amazing what they do. And they need your help. They do. Cash is great. They take cash, but they're also looking for your unwanted truck, car, RV, boat, whatever you have, because they know they can take that. And there's a lot of people, I'm surprised, a lot of people hit me up and say, you know what, Chad, it's funny, I got a car, I was going to sell it, I wasn't going to sell it, and it just seems like more of a hassle, and I thought, this is a perfect thing. It is, because a lot of times you have stuff and you're like, I'm not going to get anything if I trade it in, so why not donate it? You get a great tax-deductible gift, and you're also, as they like to say, saving a paw to save a life. How do you donate? Simple. Call 844-678-4PAW. That's 844-678-4729. Or go to woundedpawproject.org. That's woundedpawproject.org. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Take a fake news break. Check out the really important news of the day at our website, ChadBensonShow.com. Once there, click on Chad's free podcast and get real. The Chad Benson Show, where truth and the American way live. Print free.
To a lot of folks in this country, there's no law that specifically requires reporting to the FBI or other law enforcement agency. And the President of the United States, in a very backhanded way, has called attention to not only his own lack of morality, but also a loophole in the law.
It's not a loophole. It's just a law that's not there. It's not addressed. It's like with taxes, right? It's a perfect example. Oh, yeah, the loophole here, the loophole this. These are things, they're not loopholes. They're just there. Companies, people, they just take advantage of what's in front of them. That's it. There's a great article that I read about, I think it was in Wall Street Journal, about, because, they all come out and say, this, Amazon didn't pay a dime and this, that, and the other. So they said, did they really not pay a dime? And they're like, no, they did. But did they pay as much as people, want them to? No, they didn't. But then they break down how hard it is to even figure out how much they paid and didn't pay. Also, they break down about how much they've lost over the years. They've been profitable for a few years, but for years before that, they lost hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. They have carryover. They put more money into certain things. So there's all these things. And the reality is, like I've been saying, you want them to pay more? Stop telling them you're using loopholes. Change the law. If there is no law about talking to foreign governments or talking to foreign people, then change the law if that's what you want to do rather than bitch about it. Same thing with taxes. Take away the loophole. And then deal with the consequences. Right? If people stop investing, businesses, if they go elsewhere, then figure that out. But that's what you're mad about. You're mad about the fact that there isn't a law and you think it's immoral, whether it's taxes or whatever Trump says, then fix it. Change the law. Don't bitch about it. Don't bring me problems. Bring me solutions. And a lot of times people don't because it's just easier to bitch because part of the fun, part of the money making, part of the relevance is keeping that there so you can bitch about it and say, look, I need to fix this for you. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. Love hearing from you. We're talking about great concerts. My son's going to his first concert night. Whopping 9 years old. Very excited. I'm like, you going to get a T-shirt? He's like, yeah. It's like the Goo Goo Dolls and Train. Right? Like, he'd want to go see Post Malone, but I'm like, no. It's not happening, sir. All right? Enjoy Goo Goo Dolls and Train. He likes Goo Goo Dolls. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show. Twitter, Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We have a demagogue in the White House who, for cheap political gain, is attempting to divide people up and legislate hatred. It is my very strong belief that the United States must find the moral conviction to choose a different path, a higher path, a path of compassion, justice, and love. And that is the path that I call democratic socialism.
There you go. Love, hugs, kisses. It's all going to happen, kids. It's all coming together. That's where Bernie's going. That's the path. He's embracing it. Like I say, he's moving a little bit further left. Right? As is the battle of both parties is going on. Republicans, in many ways, sold their soul to Trump because they didn't want Hillary. Now they're stuck with it. They made, in many cases, some people say they made the deal with the devil. Right? You've got others inside the party who are not a fan of Trump, but he's a Republican as far as they're concerned, so they're doing their bidding. But the fact is they've moved away from that. Democrats, you got the centrist Democrats, right? That Midwest sensibility. For years, I've always told everybody, a Berkeley Democrat, if you will, is not a Democrat in Sioux City, Iowa. They're not the same, right? Allentown, Pennsylvania, not the same kind of Democrat as somebody in on the coast. Totally different. They may have D's by their names, but they're completely different in a lot of ways. And there's a battle going on in the party right now. And this is why I think the states thing we talked about the other day, how 49 of the 50 states are divided in essentially one party rule. Only Minnesota has a balance in government that's split. And I think as we move forward, this culture war, whatever that's going on, what we're going to find more and more is we're going to be gravitating towards states that share the values and the political beliefs that we have, right? And other states are going to they're going to lose some and they're going to gain some. California is going to be more liberal, more welcoming, all of these kind of things that, whether you're here legally, not illegally, the whole 9 yards, they're going to have all of this stuff. Big tax, big spend, right? You're going to find that moving forward in a ton of ways. And some people will stay there for a while thinking, hey, I thought I was this, but I found out, as things got more and more crazy, I want to move. I want to move. I want to get out of here. And Bernie is leading the charge for the far left. He and Elizabeth Warren and AOC. I don't know who she's going to back. My assumption is it's probably going to be Elizabeth Warren. But we'll see. But it's a very real thing that's going on. These battles are going on inside of these parties. You've essentially got 4 different parties, but they're under 2 umbrellas.
That I and other progressives will face massive attacks from those who attempt to use the word socialism as a slur. While President Trump and his fellow oligarchs attack us for our support of democratic socialism, they don't really oppose all forms of socialism. They may hate democratic socialism because it benefits working people, but they absolutely love corporate socialism that enriches Trump and other billionaires.
And then they go on and do their thing and they clap. Again, it's next week, 2 weeks from now, you're going to hear pretty much the same thing spewed over and over again. It's not a winning thing, but I will tell you, things are changing. And we apparently have not, because we've decided to whitewash and get rid of a lot of the past and see the failures from a lot of things. We're finding a rise in more and more radicals who are taking over in politics. That's why I think the states thing is going to be massive. You're going to go to a state in the coming years, probably, that you're going to make choices of this is the place I want to live because they share my ideas, they share my values, whatever those things are. You see what's going on in Seattle, San Francisco, Los Angeles, but also in places like Texas, right? In the center of the country, in the South. You've got your pockets of the tribe that a lot of people are heading to, and this is the battle that's going on. Denver has just elected Candy Sidibaka. Wait till you hear what she is about and some of the things that she wants to bring about.
I don't believe that our current economic system actually works. Capitalism by design is extractive, and in order to generate profit in a capitalist system, something has to be exploited. That's land, labor, or resources. And I think that we're in late phase capitalism, and we know it doesn't work, and we've got to move into something new.
How do we know it doesn't work? Tell me one thing that's brought more people out of poverty into prosperity than capitalism. Please, somebody show me. Show me. Oh, she's just getting started. Wait till you hear this.
And I believe in community ownership of land, labor, resources, and distribution of those resources. And so whatever that morphs into, I think is what will serve community the best. And I'm excited to usher it in by any means necessary.
When you hear something like that, just like with Bernie the other day talking about taking to the streets and not taking no, and when you hear by any means necessary, to implement a lot of these things, to get to that point, it is by any means necessary because people aren't going to go along with it. When you want that revolution, rarely do people opt into the revolution in the way you think. Community ownership. We're on the last legs of capitalism. My God. She took out somebody who was a stalwart in Denver, who'd been around for a while, and there's more and more of them coming. And that's why I said you're going to find places like Denver that's going to be very, very liberal, right? Places like California is going to be very, very liberal. Washington State, liberal. You'll find pockets, in states that are purplish, but still, go to one side. In Arizona, it's red, but it turned a little purple, right? But you're going to have the South that's going to continue to be red. Most of the Midwest is going to continue to red. Texas is going to continue to be red. You're going to have the Upper East Seaboard that it's going to be blue. You find your place. You find it. Because if you're a Republican in California, you're like, what am I doing here? Right? If you're a small market capitalist, a small government capitalist in a place like California, and you're seeing the amount of money they're spending on things, right? And if you're uber liberal in a place like Texas, minus Austin, where they're keeping it weird, what do you have? So it'll be very interesting to see what happens. But it's coming. And that's why the Electoral College is so vitally important, because if you got rid of that, then what I see is, just like we see one party rule in states, what you're going to find is you'll have one party rule here on the federal side. And that will most likely be the liberal side. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You tweet at us. Love hearing from you kids, baby. Yes, I do. Oh, my Lord. I found this to be very interesting. So the homeless crisis is a perfect example of the wackiness that's going on. Here in Phoenix, we're having a problem with homeless. The urban campers, as people call them, big things that's going on out there. Los Angeles, as we all know, failed on numerous occasions to do anything worth a damn to really address the problem. They say they throw money at stuff, but for the amount of money they're throwing at things, you're going, what are you actually putting it into? Because it's failed over and over again. These policies are not working. This is Tammy Bruce, by the way, a liberal, talking about the failures of liberal policies.
Yeah, obviously, I'm from California. I'm a Democrat. And here's what I can tell you as a conservative, is that the Democrats, whether it's Los Angeles or San Francisco or Chicago, the problems that the Democrats would normally need to address of their failed leadership is the fact that liberal policies do not work. So they can't address it, because then the end result ends up being an admission of their own craven failure, that they know their efforts have just been to gain power in these cities.
And they're working, right? They're working. I mean, you look at like Los Angeles, and by the way, doesn't it look at pretty much any medium-sized big city to large city in the country right now? They're dealing with some homelessness issues, and it's swelling fast. Oklahoma City's having a massive problem. New Orleans is having a massive problem. Detroit's had a massive problem for a long time. You look at Phoenix's problem is growing here tremendously. Los Angeles, Seattle's problem is well documented for the craziness that goes on there. Denver's having a problem as well. Portland's runaway and homelessness problem is growing. New York City having an issue. I mean, everywhere you look, they're having problems. And a lot of times you look around and you're like, okay, we've got issues here. Doesn't mean these problems would go away if there weren't so many of these crazy policies. But let me tell you something. These policies are backfiring, and we're continuing to throw money into it.
With the wage gap, the income gap, their policies creating homelessness, the gang problems, the open border, all of the policies that they do to gain power destroy people's lives. So it's not even like we all are on the same road to Rome and we just disagree on style and substance. Their policies aren't ambivalent or neutral. They destroy things, and we're seeing that in liberal cities across this country.
And what's interesting about that, and again, Tammy Bruce is a liberal. What's interesting about that is I look at it like it is a drug problem. It's a mental health problem. There's a lot of things. But it's like if you live in these cities and you deal with this on a day-to-day basis. Like I was accosted last night by like 3 people who were just, they were definitely aggressive panhandlers. Right? You know, as I was going in to get something to drink. And I was just like, and you see them all the time. And the problem is much like a person who's got a drug problem, it's not just that person who suffers. The whole family in many ways gets taken advantage of over and over again. The family, the friends, the lies, the theft, the whole nine. It's the same thing with the homelessness problem. Who's end up getting hurt by this more often than not, besides the person who you're continuing you're essentially helping them. You're not playing tough love with them. But the people surrounding there who have to live in these areas, they're struggling with this as well, and they're dealing with it on a day-to-day basis. It's frustrating as hell.
They literally cannot address what's happening or fix it because this is the end result of who they are. And that's why the Democrats, nobody addresses the fact that gun control has failed in Chicago. They don't want to admit it. The condition of San Francisco, this is the end result of who they are.
Yeah. And that's why they'll continue to throw money at it, thinking it's going to be better. And as we all know, rarely does that work, right? It's not, because what we're doing is we're never addressing the issues that really need to be addressed, because we also live in a world, too, where political correctness is overriding everything, and it's more about feelings than facts. And that's not a winning solution. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. My son's going to his first concert tonight. A lot of you are tweeting in and texting in about your first concert experience. We've got everything from the Pink Floyd at age 4, which I was like, damn, it's a little young, I think, to be taken. Again, it's 70s and 80s parenting. It's much different than today. My son's going to see Train and the Goo Goo Dolls. And I'm like, that's a starter concert. It's a good starter concert. He would love to see like Lil Nas X and because he thinks that's great and loves, Post Malone. I'm like, no. Maybe when you're 17, 18, not right. Not now. Sorry. Dad says no. But he's liking this. He's very excited because he does like the Goo Goo Dolls and Train. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. No Doubts on there, right? Got the Who. That'd be good to see the Who. It's too late now to see the Who. Some of the older people have texting in. Saw Zeppelin. Yeah, as their first real concert. A lot of people I saw a couple Peter, Paul, and Mary's is in there as well. Hey, I've had my MyPillow for a couple of years. I put it to the test, and it continues to work over and over again. How good did I sleep last night? Let's go through here. Got my little thing here. I slept 7 hours and 1 minute. Solid last night. Thank you, MyPillow. MyPillow is doing something for my listeners that it's amazing. You get a 2-pack of premium pillows for $69.98. That's under $70, $34.99 per pillow. What are you waiting for? Lowest price ever offered to my listeners. Made in the USA, a 10-year warranty. And get ready for this. Right now, for you guys, a 60-day money-back guarantee and free shipping. Boom! Nothing to lose. How do you get it? Simple and easy. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. 2 premium pillows, $69.98 with promo code Benson. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson, or call 800-983-4975. Use the promo code Benson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Feel free to punk this punk rocker any time of the day or night. Reach Chad on Twitter at Chad Benson Show and on Instagram at Chad Benson Show. And oh yeah, the Chad Benson Show on Facebook too. Punk that.
I think with this situation, I can transform it into something that's not like, oh, how tragic, 17-year-old lost a leg. No, 17-year-old lost a leg and we're popping, I think I could transform this into something good for me and good for sharks and good for the environment too.
That is a great attitude right there. I love that. If you don't know who that is a young girl who was attacked by a shark. That's right, attacked by a shark a couple weeks ago. Paige was bitten, fought off the shark, her and her dad. She lost her leg, but she's alive. And she also said right after the event, we don't need to hate sharks. We don't need to hate sharks. But you realized how badass sharks are. They asked their dad about her leg.
The shark took her leg, but it did not take her spirit.
Yeah, took her leg, and it was quick. He was surprised about how strong the shark was and how many sharks were there, too. That was the other thing. Apparently, there was a couple sharks going, what's happening here?
I did not know that the shark was at arm's length behind me, chasing us. I didn't know that until later. I also did not know that there was 2 sharks out there.
Yeah. Just cruising around, trying to see what's happening. Bull sharks, by the way, not nice at all. Bull sharks are one of those ones where, they come in for the kill. They're looking for something. And they are the meanest of all sharks. But it's very interesting. she is just, you listen to her and you look at her and you're like, yeah, that girl's going to make some of herself. She's going to take a situation like this and turn it into a positive. And that's great. That really is. And let's hear it for the dad, too, right? Because the dad came and he was ready to throw down and not give up the fight.
Well, I was hitting it, and I hit it with everything I could, and it let go.
There you go. Way to be, Dad. Get Dad a little something. It's Father's Day, which is Sunday, by the way. So all your fathers out there, those moms out there doing that job, those uncles, the granddads, happy Father's Day. Have an amazing, amazing weekend. Be safe. Be sane. Smile a little bit. Be kind to each other. Here's your useless fact of the day. 3% of the Arctic ice is made up of penguin urine. Oh, good God. That's ugly. But interesting. Have a good one. Night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.